All right. Destiny changers. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. I hope you are ready to roll with us with your favorite drink or your favorite snack. Here I am with mine, rooibos tea with lemon. That's what I'm having so that my throat doesn't dry up as I'm talking. All right. So we are not going to spend a lot of time with the chit chat. I'm sure those of you on Facebook, you can put your comments, as you know, under the video, or you can also, whether you're watching the live or you're watching the recording, it really doesn't matter. We just want to know that you passed through, or just leave your like or your whatever comment, on what will impress you about today. Very excited. This is our fourth meeting today, and we are going to be talking about habit number 2. Let's just do our preliminaries quickly. Introducing me, Nomsa, mother of 4 sons, water resources consultant, online business owner, life and holistic health student. I'm very, very passionate about improving my health. I'm a blogger as well. My website is nomusa@home.com. I'm also an ardent traveler as well, as you can see on these pictures. These bottom ones, that was on some of the trips that I took with my family. We're on a cruise to the Bahamas there with my 10-year-old son. How nice is that? He was 10 then, but now he's 12. All right. I'm also the convener and coordinator of Destiny Changers Global. So you are welcome, and invite your friends and family to also be part of our community as well. All right. So let's just quickly go through the background of the Destiny Changers Book Club, how it came about, and why it's something that I believe all of us will benefit from. So based on the positive impact of personal development that I've had over the last couple of years, just being exposed because of the different parts, the different people that have been part of my life as I have been working on my journey of developing myself as a business person. I realized that, wow, there's so much value in personal development. And most of my mentors really were virtual, people on, following YouTube channels, as well as reading books. So I decided, you know what, rather than go on this amazing journey by myself, let me also include others as well, so that we travel this journey together instead of me traveling it all by myself. According to Oscar Wilde, the value of reading comes in because it is what you read when you don't have to that determines what you will be when you can't help it. So definitely by reading, we are improving ourselves and giving ourselves knowledge that we are, and information that we are going to use in the different scenarios that we meet in life. So we meet on a daily basis. It was 7 p.m. all along, but as from next week, because of some business, some meetings that have been scheduled now for the next 3 months in my business, we are going now to be meeting at 8 p.m. I hope that is better for most people, because sometimes some of the ladies say, they'll still be fixing dinner for the families and so on and so on. So 8 p.m. Central Africa time, that's where we are shifting to now. And then 7 p.m., that will be 7 p.m. British Standard Time, and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join in 5 minutes before so that you check your sound and get comfortable as well. So the other thing that we are going to be looking at, our keynote facilitators. We are looking for people in the group who will rise to the role of leadership, who will volunteer for the books or the chapters that they're excited about, so that they can share with us as well. The total book discussion time should be about 25-30 minutes thereabouts. So then we are going to go through the process. So the book that we are reading is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. Very exciting book, a little bit complex, but I believe if we take it in bite sizes, as we discussed, we are going to make it happen. Where do you get the book from? Amazon.com. You can get a hard copy. It might take a while if you're outside of the US, obviously, to get delivery. But you can get a Kindle copy as well, so that you read it on PDF. You can download an audio book. If you want to have the audio book, I can actually give you access to a complimentary copy if you have not had an Audible account before. So go to audible.com and through the link, but first of all, request for that link from me so that it will enable you to then claim and redeem, that complimentary copy on audio, because these books audio give them for the subscription. Every month you pay $15 to be a member of Audible. If you want to pay, to have the books accessible, to get a new book every month, that's what you pay, and you can buy any book of your choice every month because using those points. And then we also have, right, so now we are going into the actual discussion itself, all right? What is our time now? 7 minutes, so we have another 20 or so minutes of discussing the book and really, diving deep into what we are going to be talking about. So let's just recap and define what a habit is, right? A habit is an ingrained character trait, right? Positive, if it is positive, you are an effective person. If it is a negative habit, it reduces your effectiveness. So we want to be people who nurture in ourselves those positive habits that will help us to become more effective in what we do. Many of us have got habits that are not causing us to be effective already, right? So those habits that we have acquired, which are limiting our effectiveness, are we stuck with them? No, we are not stuck. They are changeable, and as long as you are willing to change and willing to put in the energy and the work that is required, you can change your habits, all right? So diving into today's topic, which is, still under the private victories. Remember, we said there are two groups of habits. We have got the private victories as well as the public victory habits. So we are talking within the sphere of the private victory habits. Now, the second habit is beginning with the end in mind. And I've decided to split it into three parts because it's really a very involved chapter, and we really need to think about what we are doing in order for us to grow into the leaders that we want to be. All right, so my network is also very shaky this side. I hope you can be able to hear me all the way through. Internet is a little bit of a challenge these days, all right? So how do we become the leaders that we need to be? And we are not talking about you leading others. We are talking about you leading yourself, because until we master the skill of self-leadership, leading others is not going to work at all right? So we need to lead ourselves first before we can fall into the sphere of being those who are leading others. So we are going to really dive deep over the next 3 weeks, talking about how we can become the effective leaders, that we need to be for us to be able, to welcome Galaxy. I can see it. All right. Hopefully you can hear me clearly there. All right. So beginning with the end in mind, what does that mean? First of all, let's just look into the thematic quotation that, is the underlying principle behind this. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. This is Oliver Wendell Holmes. So when you listen to this quotation, really, it's talking about the fact that we've got things that are happening around us. We've got things that we have left behind. We've got things that we are aspiring for. But in order for us to be able, to achieve that greatness, we've got to start with what is within us. So what is this? From my reading, when I looked at this, I saw that, beginning with the end in mind starts with us using our imagination, right? It starts with you using your imagination, where you are saying, for example, the example that the person, the author gives in that book is, imagine you are driving to a funeral of a loved one, right? And then, there's you get out, you get there, you park the car, you walk into the church, and then you go all the way to the front. And then when you are looking into the coffin, you realize that is your funeral. Wow, that's a wake-up call, isn't it? All of us know that one day we are going to face that day. Now put faces to the attendees, for your funeral. Who is going to be there? who do you want to be there? Because those people who are going to be there are going to be there because, of course, we know there are those who might want to come and see that you are really gone. But who are those that you really want to be there because they are special to you? They are people who are important to you. From your family, we could be looking at your spouse, we could be looking at your children, your siblings, your relatives, neighbors, work and business associates, community representatives. What will they say when they are there? What do you want them to say about you? The minute you start thinking that way that you live your life on a day-to-day basis is going to be such that you are saying, you know what, when the water cuts the feet now, when we come to where, the rubber meets the road and this is D-Day for you, you are now exiting planet Earth. Those people who are going to come there to bid you farewell, what do you want them to say? You live that life today. Otherwise, there is no other time that you're going to be able to give them the opportunity to write that eulogy for you. So you write the eulogy for yourself. Nobody's going to write it for you. You are the person who will write the eulogy. You are the person who will write what you want the people who will come to your funeral to say about you. Sounds a bit somber, but that is the reality of what we face on a daily basis. Everything that we are doing is feeding into that conclusion where everybody, when they are looking at the dash between your date of birth and your date of death, because when you look at those tombstones there, you realize it says born on this date, died on this date. What does the dash constitute? Be concerned about what is happening there. This is what this habit is all about. Beginning with the end in mind, living your life every day, knowing that there is coming a day when people are going to say your eulogy, and what do you want them to say about you? All right, so let's unpack it a little bit. So what does it mean? It applies in many different scenarios, of course, both in the long term as well as in the short term of our lives. But primarily, here we are referring to your whole life, right? We are referring to your whole life starting right now. You could say, okay, what can I do about the past? There's nothing you can do about the past. As far as this exercise of us transforming ourselves, improving our effectiveness, our life begins today, all right? We forget about the past. We can go to the past for reference for us to realize where or what are the origins of our conduct. But otherwise, going forward, your life is beginning today because that is the day when you decide to do something different. So how your eulogy will read from the people who will attend your funeral depends on how you live daily. More about effectiveness is more about effectiveness as opposed to efficiency only. Many of us, we focus on efficiency where we say, I want to do things quickly. I want to achieve these goals as fast as possible. But is it effective? Is it really what you want to do? Because when you focus on efficiency, we become very impatient. We become, very instant gratification oriented. Whereas life is all about the long term. It's all about the things that we do on a daily basis. As you are climbing the ladder, you don't jump from rank 0 to rank 20. You take it one step at a time. But the question that this habit is asking is the ladder that you are climbing leaning on the right wall for what you value the most, right? So in other words, we are talking about character versus personality. We are not talking about your personality as an individual, we talk about the value system that you hold. Because at the end of the day, your personality will develop, it will evolve based on the kind of character that you want to be known for. All right. So also, all things are created twice. So this, habit is based on that premise, which says all things are created twice. We have the mental creation, which is the imagination. And then we have the physical creation, which is the execution of what we have imagined. Let's think about these three scenarios. For example, if you are building a house, right? You know the kind of house that you want, you know the number of stories that you want, you sit down with your architect, you discuss all the details of the kind of house that you want and the fittings that you want, the purpose that you are building the house for. Is it a family-centric home that you want? Is it a home where you're going to be doing entertainment? So all the fixtures that you put in there are going to be put in based on the dream or the vision that you have. But if you don't go through this exercise, if you skip this exercise, it means it's going to be trial and error. And I don't think you'll get a builder who will want to come and do your project, because they will be like, where am I starting from? They want the layout. They want to know the specifics. You can even go down to the point of putting the details, of the colors that you want in your room, etc., in the different rooms and so forth and so on, the kind of fittings that you're going to put in, all that falls into your construction blueprint. If you're doing a business, for example, I'm yet to see a businessman who launches into business without a business plan. You are going on a trip, or you are going on vacation, for example, you will have a destination so that you buy the right tickets, right? Otherwise, if you don't have a destination, when you go to the ticket office, where are you buying? What tickets? Tickets for going where? All right. Now, the thing is, at the end of the day, we look at all these things that we do on a daily basis and we plan for them. But what about our relationships? Do you have a plan for your relationships? The quality of relationships that you want to have, with your children, with your spouse, with your, the neighbors, with the people that you are working with, your employees, and so on. Because those are the people who are likely to come to your funeral, and they will be given opportunity to talk. And when they are talking about you, what do you want them to say? So can you say that we are not focusing on things here, much as the material things can be part of our goals and our plans? But here we are talking about the core issues of what makes a person, what makes an individual. Those are your relationships, your relationship with God, your relationship with people, your relationship with the entire environment that you live in. So your life also needs to have a blueprint. If your life does not have a blueprint, then we are living by trial and error. And that is a very, very dangerous way of living. Many of us have never really thought about it. We may have succeeded because maybe, we have just been lending on opportunities and lending on opportunities. But when you really look at it, we are only talking about the material side of things. Many people, when they are defining success, we are only confining ourselves to the material. That is not the core of what makes you an individual of value. What makes you an individual of value are those things, that when others are looking at you, they say, this is an important person in my life. All right, much as the business side of things will also still keep coming in, we cannot ignore that. All right. So the question that we are asking here is, are you living your life by design, or are you living it by default? Are you making, are things that are just happening? Are things just happening in your life, in your relationship with your children, in your relationship with your spouse or your significant other, in your relationship with God? Do you have a plan? Do you have a clear vision of where you want to go? In your relationship, with your neighbors and your community, what are the things that you want them to remember you for? Now you look at it and say, if you want to be a philanthropist and give to the community, for example, you've got to build your capacity to earn. That then spills into your business side, where you are saying, on my business side now, I'm going to make sure that I sharpen my skills such that I'm able, to earn more and give more. When it comes to my children, I need to sharpen my skills of parenting, sharpen my understanding of the human conduct and the human play. Doesn't mean that you should attend the psychology class, but what it means is that the way that you talk and the way that you relate with your children on a daily basis is such that you want to build them for a certain kind of vision of adult that you want to leave behind as a legacy that you are leaving to the world. All right. So have you given thought to the script of your life? So what is the basis of your life script? Is it based on principles and values, which is what is the critical thing that will make you a person of value? Or is it based on opinions, right? We have got other people who also feed into our lives. But you know what? They don't have to run our lives for us. People are, we remember, if you remember from habit number 1, where we were talking about saying that you are the creator of your life. You are the person who designs your life, right? If it is to be, it is up to you. At the end of the day, you are the person who should be proactive and not reactive, right? So in other words, we are saying there are people who will influence or who will affect your life, but at the end of the day, the core values and the core issues that cause you to make decisions are supposed to be not other people's opinions, but your personal agenda. right? So in other words, you need to have a personal agenda of your own, clearly defined and clearly spelled out, so that when people are coming in and their opinions are derailing you from what you want to achieve, you then go back to your blueprint and say, look, irrespective of what other people are saying about me, this is who I want to be known as. This is who I want to be remembered as well. Is it circumstances that are determining the kind of person that you are? You then become a reactive person because circumstances will change. And when circumstances change, how do you react to those, respond to those circumstances? If you have a set of principles and values, doesn't matter which way, whether they turn left or they turn right, you have your path that you will go through based on the principles and values that you have. All right. So those are the principles and values that make you the core person on the inside. Because unless we fortify the inside, the outside can do anything to us. But if we fortify the inside, we know that whatever happens on the outside, it is not going to impact us in any way. All right. I really, it's quite something that we really need to be passionate about, to really think about it. How am I living my life? Am I living, being swayed this way and that way by the wind of change? Are my past habits also? Because remember, we talked about conditioning, and we said we cannot ignore conditioning. Conditioning is what has given us the habits that have gotten us to where we are. But when you're looking at the trajectory of your life and you're saying, this is not the direction that I want to be going. This is not the direction that I want to take, right? So you now review your present habits, which are coming from your past. And you're saying to yourself, I can change this way of behavior. I can change my conduct and make sure that I, move myself in the direction of what is critical and important for me. So now let's also look at, because as we talk about leadership, there is that dichotomy between leadership and management. Which one are we, what are we saying when we say self-leadership? What are we talking about at core? What is the difference with being a manager, for example? Management is doing things right? So in other words, you are saying, we are talking about climbing the ladder, knowing the proper methods of climbing the ladder, and so that you get to where you want to go, right? So in other words, when we talk about management, we are talking about efficiency, right? The efficient utilization of resources, efficient utilization of time, efficient utilization of knowledge and information that we have. All that is about management. But leadership is doing the right things, right? So in leadership now, you are saying, I'm looking at the map and saying, I want to go to Harare. I'm coming from Bulawayo, right? There is a path that will take me. There may be several paths, there may be detours here and there, but I know that where I'm going is to Harare. Now, when we talk about management now is when you are on that journey between Harare and Bulawayo, you are going to meet circumstances and situations along the way. What you are keeping in mind is your destination. You don't want to end up getting to Gweru and diverting and going to Masvingo, and instead of going to Bulawayo, to Harare. You see? Because unless you are doing the right things, you might end up getting to the wrong place, right? So doing the right thing is what is important. That's what leadership is all about. So in other words, leadership asks the question, is the ladder leaning on the right wall? Is the ladder leaning on the right tree? If I want to harvest mangoes, I have to put my ladder against a mango tree. There's no way that I will harvest mangoes if I'm putting my ladder against a peach tree. If I'm putting my ladder against a peach tree, I'm going to harvest peaches. But if I want to harvest mangoes, I've got to make sure that I find a mango tree, and then prop my ladder to that. And then now the method of picking the fruit is what we are talking about, management. All right. So in other words, management is what both of them, we are doing them on a daily basis. But leadership is thinking more about, the map as opposed to the tree, what can I say, the activities that we are doing in order for us to negotiate or to maneuver that map, right? So that we arrive at the destination. So leadership casts the vision, whereas management figures out how to achieve the vision. So in other words, management is about the how to, but vision, leadership is about the what, right? What is it that I want out of life? What is it that I want to achieve? What are the goals that I'm long term, right? We have short term goals for management where I'm saying, you know what, I want to have finished cutting 3 trees by the end of the day. All right, that will lead to me having a clear a field in which to plant, I mean, to grow, to build my house. All right, but the long-term vision is that house that you want to build. Are you going to clear sufficient space for you in order for you to know that how much space should I clear for this house? You need to have the layout, which will give you the square meters or the square feet, you know, that will be taken by that house. So can you see now the difference between leadership and management? So leadership is going to set the vision to say, we want a 2-story house with 3 bedrooms, which will have a surface area of so much, right? Whereas management now is saying, how are we going to do this? Where do we get the bricks from? Who is going to deliver the bricks? Who is the builder that we are appointing, to be able to make sure that we deliver this house and we put it where it's supposed to be? How much of land are we supposed to clear? They go back to the blueprint and they look at it to say, this is what is going to make sure that the project is successful. So when you look at leadership compared to management, leadership is very hard. And many of us, we get stuck in management because it needs you to be brave for you to venture into becoming a leader. As a leader, you are not only, eventually you realize that your sphere of influence grows beyond yourself. Because as somebody who has decided to lead yourself, when you are leading yourself, the decisions that you are making now end up needing you to rope in other people. For example, now you've got your plan for the house. You've established everything that is needed there. Now you've got to have the builder coming in. You've got to have the plumbers coming in. You've got to have everybody who will make sure that your project is delivered at the end. Remember the codependency that we talked about, when we were introducing this whole concept, to say we come from dependence to independence to codependence. So in other words, you are eventually going to be somebody who will not only be leading yourself, but you will also be casting the vision for others as well. So leadership is quite a very big challenge, and not many people have the stamina, to grow themselves into that. So how do you change the script? Become your own first creator, right? Remember, we said things are created at 2 levels. The imagination, the vision, what you are casting as, this is what I want. This is, what I eventually want to have at the end, of all this that is going on. And then there's also the creative part now, the physical, the construction, side of things. So be proactive. So engage in self-awareness. Remember, we talked about that. Those 3 human traits that we have that make us different from all of God's creation. We are self-aware. We have an imagination. We also have a conscience as well. So looking at all of these as being proactive individuals who are self-aware, who have an imagination of the things that we want to achieve, who also have a conscience that guides the hows of how we go about achieving, the big picture. So develop self-mastery in a personal vision. Unless you master yourself, you cannot be able to achieve that personal vision. So do not subdue others, but be patient and communicate. Remember, we said once you get your self-mastery in place, or once you get your vision in place, rather, you are now going to need self-mastery in order for you to work with these people who are coming into a sphere of influence, right? So all these people who have become relevant for you to achieve your goal, you want to make sure that they too achieve their goals. It's not only your goal that is important, but they are support. For example, let's give a typical example of a parent. You are raising a child. You want your child to have, certain characteristics which it is in. How do you go about that? Not by snapping at them, not by shouting at them at every turn where they make a mistake, not by doing things that are going to cause you to want instant obedience, as opposed to patient communication that will convey to them the principles that you want them to have, right? Do not get caught up in the thick of things, because there will always be things that are urgent. But as we deal with the urgent, let's not forget the important. We are going to unpack that much more, when we get to the next habit. But right now, what is important is for us to realize that on our own, we need to master ourselves so that we interact with the people who come into our sphere of influence effective. Break out of a limiting past, right, into your limitless potential. Do not be defined by your past. No matter how many mistakes, remember last week we talked about mistakes and the fact that admit and acknowledge your mistakes and then reconstruct your future by doing something different that will take you to a different destination from where your mistake was taking you to. So those mistakes from the past should not limit your vision of what is potentially possible for you. So act from integrity as opposed to reacting or to emotion or to circumstances. All right. So always remember those core values that are creating the pillars that are supporting your vision for yourself. Those are the ones that are supposed to be the driving force in terms of how you react to things that happen around you, how you react to circumstances that just surface, which are beyond your control. Remember, your circle of influence is where you really need to be focusing on, going back to what we talked about last week. Your circle of influence, and then as you become more effective in your circle of influence, you'll find that it continues to grow and expand and include more and more territorial ground, more individuals who become part of the journey that you are going on. All right. So this is you can take a screenshot of that so that you can put together the homework or the exercise that we are looking for us being able to do this coming week. All right. So take the time to record the impressions you had in the funeral visualization at the beginning. Remember, we started off with that exercise where we are saying you are imagining all these people. You thought you were going to a friend's funeral, but it turns out it's yours. Who are the people that you want to be there? People from your family, people from your friend network, people whom you work with, or people that you do business with, within your church, within your community. What do you want them to remember you for in terms of your character? What do you want them to remember you for in terms of your contribution into their lives? What do you want them to remember you for in terms of the achievements that you have made as an individual who has focused on the goals and the vision that you want to achieve within your life? So all these are the things that we need to be talking about, we need to be thinking about, that we need to be mapping out for ourselves so that we become those amazing individuals that we want to be in the end. So begin with the end in mind. Visualize what you want to see. When the vision is clear, then you will be able, I may not remember the verse in the Bible, but obviously, God is a visionary as well, because he was telling Ezekiel, the prophet, to say, write down the vision. So this vision that we are talking about, we are not just saying imagine and end there. Write it down so that you keep going back to it and referring to it. If you can put images that represent what it is that you want to see, put those images. Remember, we will talk about vision boarding, and maybe we'll go do an exercise of a vision board, how to create that vision board so that you can be able, to really map out and visualize and see exactly what you want your life to be. Because until that vision is clear, it is impossible for you to know how to conduct yourself. It is impossible for you to make sure that you do on a daily basis those things that will affirm that vision for yourself. All right. So as we are wrapping up now, we are just going to, say thank you for attending, on the Zoom. Thank you for those who were, I saw a couple of people were coming in and out on Facebook as well. So guys, let's invite others, let's conscientize others. Please be aware that from next week, it's going to be 8 p.m. Central Africa time, because now I have a 3-month commitment in my business in terms of, some activities that we'll be doing between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. So I cannot be available for that. So we'll have to shift this one to 8 p.m. Central Africa time, 7 p.m. British Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are still going to be streaming live on the Destiny Changers group. So if you're not in the Destiny Changers group on Facebook, make sure that you look up the book, Destiny Changers Global, and then request to be added so that you can also watch the replays from the Facebook group. but we also send emails as well. So that's why I also ask when you're joining the group to say, make sure that you give us your email address, because once I have your email address, I'm able to send you also, a link to the YouTube channel, so that depending on what is available to you on that day, you may have access to YouTube, or you may have access to Facebook. You will have access to the information from multiple platforms. Thank you so much for joining in. So next week, we are going to be looking at pages 106 to 128, which is your personal mission statement introduction. So this is still part of the same chapter, right? Habit 2, beginning with the end in mind. But now we are going to be looking, expanding now and going to say, now let's write your missions out. How do you conceptualize your mission statement? We've always known organizations to have mission statements, but what about you as an individual? Do you have a mission statement for your life? Once you are clear about that mission statement, it's going to be so much easier, or so much simpler rather, for you to know what to do on a daily basis in order for you to then get yourself to the fulfillment of that vision that you have of yourself. Thank you so much, for joining in, and I really appreciate your time. And we are going to meet next week as we continue our discussion. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Maybe I can just ask, on Facebook there is no comments, but I have my auntie, my auntie here on Zoom. Maybe you may have something to say from what we have discussed.
Okay, yes, I was trying to get the voice. It was just no sound coming, so that's why I came in a bit late. And last week I failed, but I find this really good, coming up with these. Remember, at one time, just shelved some of these ideas, but I'm really being hyped to get on along. Thank you so much. It's really good and quite informative building. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm happy that you were able to finally connect to the audio. So at least now you know what to do next week. So that the audio is through. All right. No, thank you very much for attending.
Yeah, I'll just get there on time.
All right. No, that's fine. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.